Hi there, welcome to Transcorner Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2024 KZ Connect 241 RESE. We are just going to start off with the back unit. If you notice up top, you're pre-mounted for an observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can just contact your parts department and they'd be more than happy to help you out. Coming around to the left side of the unit and the driver's side, pulling the bumper cap. It's typically where you're going to want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in here yet. Now in this corner, as well as all four corners of the unit, you got stabilizer jacks, and the way those work is you're going to run your 3/4 inch drive tool and your 3/4 inch drive nut, run it down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just give it another 8/4 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. In addition to that, these are stabilizing jacks. They're not leveling jacks. Please don't try and use them as leveling jacks, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them, and the same does go for if you're running them up or down with an impact. Just keeping in mind how much torque you put on them. You come a little bit further ahead, you get your service port for your hot water heater. Not much really you need to worry about other than this is the main switch to turn the thermostat on and off inside. And if you've had a trailer before and you did the winterizing yourself, you probably remember your water heater having bypass valves. This system is different. It doesn't have any bypass valves. You run antifreeze through the system. Once you're done your winterization process completely, crack this pressure relief valve. Remove this brass plug like it is now because we have this unit winterized ready for customer pickup. That just allows any antifreeze once it does start gelling up to escape and not crack and expand inside the coils. Right here you get your standard 30 amp twist lock connection. You just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Once you line that guy up, you can press it into place, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you can get your standard 30 amp plug-in. Now, most campsites should have this. You can plug right on in. But let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is your standard household outlet. We do include that 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using it. Going down in power, so you won't be able to run your air conditioner. Right here, you got your black tank flush. It's going to be very important you use that after every couple of uses. Just helps keep that tank that little bit cleaner to prevent false monitor panel readings and odors around the unit. But it is very important that you do read the caution sticker that whenever you are using it, you are having the sewer hose connected and the black tank valve open. And the reason for that is if you're pushing pressure inside of that tank and the pressure has nowhere to go, you do run the risk of bursting the tank. If you come down below here, get your first sewer dump outlet here. This give you your only sewer dump, sorry. Then you got your black valve and your gray valve. You always want to empty the black one first. This is going to be your dirtiest water, filtered from your toilets. And then you can come behind that with your gray one, which is typically a little cleaner water, filtered from your sinks and your showers. Behind that pipe, you got your 2 low point drains. So if you don't want water going stale or stagnant, because you're leaving the unit for a while, or again, you're done your winterization process, you want to try and drain out as much of that antifreeze as possible, which is always a good idea. You just crack those guys open like they are now, and it will allow most of the fluid out of the lines. Right here, you got your docking station. You do got to use your M key to open up that guy, which is your standard door key. Open that guy up. This is going to be your kind of main water area. You also get a little exterior shower with hot and cold water, which is nice. You just got to pull back on the collar like any standard airline, push it in certain place, turn on the tap. You got sprayable water. This is your standard garden hose end, so if you didn't like this one, you can get whatever one you want and put it on there. This little guy here, this is going to be your water inlet for the unit, and what you decide it does is based off of where you have this valve positioned. So with it up and to the right like so, or sorry, twisting it to the left like so, you're in the city water connection. So if you plug the garden hose in there, turn it on, that's for when you're at a site. It's going to pressurize all those lines without you needing to run your water pump. But let's say you're out boondocking or you're just campsite, it doesn't have water, you just have to turn that valve down to tank fill, and then it would then fill your fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Speaking of that, if you look right down below the floor, you do get your fresh tank drain. Cracking that valve open, that's going to drain whatever water's inside of the tank out. Coming inside, you get your first storage compartment here. Pretty much your basic storage compartment, but on the right, you get those 2 screws holding in that false panel. Removing those 2 screws would give you access to your water pump, where you could then find your bypass hose and follow it back to the bypass valve for winterization. Of course, if you're doing it yourself, We would be more than happy to do it for you every year though. If you bring it back, get your 27 RV battery box right at the front, and then right behind it is that battery disconnect switch. With it in the on position like it is now, the batteries are connected to the unit. Turning it to the off position would then disconnect the batteries from the unit. You got your 2 propane tanks right up front, typically standard. You can just loosen off the 2 tabs, push them out of the way. You can then flip this back, get access to most, which you have to do. But for the purpose of the video, of course, if your tanks are you do just have to slide it off and out of the way. You get access to them. Right at the front of your regulator here, you got this selector valve, which is pointed right now to this side. So you'd then be drawing off this tank counterclockwise like any standard barbecue to open up the flow of propane. Now if this tank were to go dry, you do just have to close it off, flip this over to the other side, and you can then start drawing off that tank. Power tongue jack right up front. This is just going to be the other side of that storage compartment. You got your 2 outside outlets here in case you want to plug anything in outside, which you probably will be. You got your furnace exhaust. Whenever your furnace is running, it'll be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Right up top, you get your range hood flap, so whenever you get to your campsite, pushing on the 2 tabs, pushing on the 2 tabs and pushing it out of the way, that allows that range hood to start evacuating fumes as you're making them. But of course, if you're traveling or leaving the unit for storage, you do want to try and remember to clamp those back in together. It's just going to stop any excess dust from getting inside the unit, as well as any critters. Now for the best part, to take a step on inside, pushing that assist handle, folding it 90 degrees, it's going to lock into place. That will allow you to open up your door. You do have to have your door open all the way. Get your stairs down. Get your stairs down. You pull on that tab. Pull those stairs towards you, and they're going to start folding down. You do have adjustable feet, so you can have nice and level stairs at your campsite. Just have to pull on that and adjust them in the corresponding spots for wherever it's level. Now setting the stairs down. The goal is to try and have this black plate as close to your silver catch plate as possible. That way the door can come in and out nice and freely without binding at all. Now once we do take a step on inside, first thing you notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher, which is pretty much just like home, pull the pin and shoot. Once we are inside, you just gotta come straight up to the monitor panel here. This is where you get all your controls for everything. So living room lights is going to turn on most of the living room lights in the space here. You got a couple different accent lights in which you can turn on. And then of course an awning LED light. Next, you got your monitor panel system. So it is motion sensing. Whenever you go by it, it's going to tell you what your tanks are currently at. And if you wanted to connect it to Bluetooth on your phone, you would just have to download the KZ app. And of course you can see all of this on your phone. To run the awning, you just push and hold that extend button, allow that awning to start making its way out. Typically, once the awning's fully extended, you're going to see the back of the metal tube, a little flap hang down. Now, fortunately today, I don't have enough room to get it all the way out, but I can get it most of the way out to show you basically what it's doing. And there you go. Now, whenever you have this awning out, it's always a good measure. Keep an eye on the wind speeds. Once the wind speeds do start picking up, again, this is going to act like a wind sail. You're going to want to make sure you bring that in. Otherwise, you do run the risk of bending your arms or ripping your fabric. Now, if we're to start moving, just aim arm front to rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now, if you like that angle better because it's going to allow for more shade underneath, you just have to do the same thing with the front arm. Just make sure that you do push both back to straight before you try and bring your awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. For example, if you had to roll this in while it's wet, it's not the end of the world. Don't panic. Just try and remember at your next earliest convenience that you do roll it back out and allow it time to dry off. That way you don't accelerate the growth of mold or mildew inside of there. And to bring the awning in, it's as simple as holding that retract button. The awning's going to start rolling its way into the trailer. Once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors will automatically cut out. Now, just because there's some noise going on in the shop, I'm going to close that door quickly so you can hear a little bit better. Got your slide out control next. Now, before you ever run your slide out, I always recommend doing a quick visual check. I know sometimes it can be hard to get towards that back corner, but things do tend to shift during travel. It's always a good idea just to double check nothing's in the way of the slide out that's going to cause damage going out. And of course, just on the outside, making sure you do have enough room to put it all the way out. But push and hold that out button, the slide out starts making its way out. Once that is full extension, the motor's going to wind up and click, and that's when you know you're at your full extension. Once you hear that clicking, you know you're fully out. Now, if you want to be extra cautious, you could just run your hand between the slide out and the wall. You should be able to feel that rubber seal pushing up against the wall. That way you're sealing out any water that were to come. Then right below that, you do get your thermostat that controls the furnace and the air conditioner for the unit. The air conditioner is going to move with all its air through the ceiling ducting you have throughout. Right up here, there's going to be a little intake filter, much like your furnace filter at home. You just have to move the 2 tabs with a flat-headed screwdriver. This plastic plate's going to pop down, and inside there is a replaceable filter. I'm sure parts department could track some down for you if you needed. But it's a good idea to keep an eye on that. Once it starts getting dusty and dirty, you're going to want to replace it. That way you keep the flow flowing real well. Push the button once on the thermostat, it does illuminate itself. Push it a second time, you can go into your different modes. So first we'll go into cool. Once you do select cool, it's going to ask you to select the fan setting. I always recommend using high or low in the auto setting. That way when you go to fire up your furnace, your air conditioner fan doesn't continuously run, and it creates it to be an on-demand system. So when you're in that high auto setting, if the room's 75, we have it set to 72. Once the room does reach 72, it's going to automatically kill the air conditioner. If you have that fan setting in the high or low without the auto in there, it is going to run continuously until you actually manually turn it off. So just keep that in mind if you're not using it. After cool, get heat. That's going to kill your air conditioner, fire up your furnace. Your furnace moves all its air through the 4 portals you have throughout the unit. And it's also going to run for an additional 3 minutes after turning it off. And the furnace does run off propane, so it's going to be important you purge it. Purge your propane system before you try firing up your furnace, just to try and avoid any false fires. False firing meaning it didn't sense a flame, so it couldn't light. I'm going to go over purging once we do get to your stove, so don't worry about that. And after heat, Coleman's got this crazy cool new feature called Cool Plus Heat. So depending on what you have the room set to, will either kick in the furnace or the air conditioner. I thought that was awesome. A lot of campers don't have that, so it's pretty cool. But it is very important you have that auto setting in there. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to operate properly. After your Cool Plus Heat, you go back to off, turn everything off. Like I said, the furnace is going to run for an additional 3 minutes after being turned off. Now, because this unit's equipped with propane, you got your LP detector right there near the ground. If that guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply at the front of the unit, open up some windows and vents, and get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Now, you're going to have tons of storage throughout this unit, and I mean tons. It's a beautiful layout, but whenever you are using the storage in here, just be mindful of any drains, water lines, and wiring. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of that too much. Now all the blinds in the unit are going to work the same way. We're just going to kind of sit and relieve them. And then one quick pull will allow them to retract back up. Got your fire exit for the main living space here. You're just having to pull on the red tabs. They're going to unhook the window. You'd then be able to swing that window out and of course try and jump out feet first. But if there is a fire, just try and get out as quickly as possible just due to safety. You got your main bedroom in the front. Now let's say you had some additional people that you weren't planning for. You can remove the feet from underneath the table here, set your tabletop on its desired ledges, take your back cushions, fill in the center, and you have yourself another bed. Entertainment center, TV backer is right here, so you got a little reinforced plate there. Otherwise, you can set it right on the ledge, but if you are setting it out on that ledge, just be careful when traveling because it'll probably fly off. Plugins, of course, stereo, zone A being inside, zone B being outside speakers. Again, more storage underneath. And then you have your couch, which additionally has more storage underneath as well. Another fire exit on this side. Now taking a step on into the kitchen space. Beautiful layout again. You got your binder here. That's going to include any owner's manuals, keys, remotes, stuff like that is all going to be inside of here. We also include some paperwork to go over just for seasonal maintenance and stuff like that. Underneath here, more storage. You got your microwave, which is pretty much just like home, and then you do have your gas stove and oven. So whenever you're running your gas stove and oven, of course, because it's gas, you're going to want to try and run that fan whenever you're using the stove. That way you're evacuating those propane fumes as you're making them, which is going to not cause your CO detector to go off. Now, I brought up a purging comment earlier. So what I meant by purging is that whenever you turn the system off at the front of the unit or disconnect one of the bottles, it does allow air into the system. Once air makes its way into the system, it has to be purged out. Quickest, easiest way to do that is by firing your stove, because you get to decide how long it runs for and how long the gas runs for and how many sequences you try lighting it. If you went to go to try to fire up your water heater or your furnace, those will only try lighting themselves a couple times, and if they don't sense a flame because there's no gas at it yet, it could throw a fault code. Now, of course, if that does happen, always try it a second or third time just to be sure that it's not a purging issue. But if you do want to avoid all that, just come to your stove first thing. Because it's gas, of course, doing so safely. So if you ever turn this on, you're always hitting that igniter every few seconds. That way you avoid any sort of gas buildup and a minor combustion, because if your face was nearby and you had a gas buildup with a little minor combustion, you could lose some eyebrows and eyelashes, and I don't know about you, but it doesn't sound like fun. But you see, it does fire up, and of course it fired up pretty quickly today just because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it can take a few minutes, so just be patient with it. When it comes time to lighting your oven, it's kind of the same sort of deal, except you're turning it over to the pilot option, pushing and holding the knob in, waiting for 5 to 10 seconds, hitting that igniter. You're going to see that pilot light. Once the pilot lights and can hold its own without you pushing in on the button, it is ready to be turned up to your desired temperature, and it fires right on up. To my right, you got illumination knobs, and then of course illumination knobs plus the oven light. Being careful with this cover, and of course always allowing this time to cool down before flopping it down, because it is glass, fragile. You got your fridge here, fridge and freezer combo. Controls for both are right down below. This last setting here is the coldest setting, but it's also going to make the fridge the coldest the fastest. So if your significant other told you the night before, hey, go turn the fridge on the camper, you totally forgot, it's the next morning, put it on that last setting there. It's going to get it the coldest the quickest. And once you do find it's cold enough, you can turn it up to whatever temperature you prefer. Just helps get things that colder that much quicker. You got that off-grid section there. That's just telling you the most energy efficient setting to run it on if you're running it off battery power. And then you do got your charcoal filter. This is just to help with fridge odors. If you'd like to get replacements ones, we do sell them here at the shop. Just again, by contacting our parts department, they'd be more than happy to get the other quote for you and order some in if you needed. Right down below, you got your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it will sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. And you have all your corresponding fuses on the right. Opening up this door here, you do get access into your bathroom. It is a beautiful bathroom. Light switches on the left. Above my head here, you're going to notice we got this vent lid. It kind of works different from your traditional one. If you had a camper before, you just have to pull down on the knob, push forward, lock it in place. Now you're going to notice we're open straight up into the atmosphere. If you were to turn that fan on, take a shower, forget it open, and it started raining, it's going to get wet inside of here. We do sell covers for that here at the shop. It's going to go over top of this vent. It's going to allow you to leave this open and not worry about it getting wet inside. It's also going to add a little more extra protection against hail and things like that. So again, if you'd like to get set up with that, contact the parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out. On the wall here, you get your main GFI plug. It's going to have the reset function here. Sometimes they can trip for the oddest reasons. So if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, just triple check that this isn't tripped. If it is, just hit that reset button. It should click and you get that green light telling you it's back on, and then go check your plug again. Thermostat for your water heater. So because this is an on-demand water heater, it works a little bit differently than your traditional one. Typically at home, you turn the hot water on. If it's too hot, you crack the cold, blend it in. This one doesn't like being blended because it operates on flow. So basically when you turn this on, you're going to want to set that temperature to where you find it the most comfortable with running that hot water on full bore. So if that happens to be 100, set it at 100, leave it at 100. So that way you don't have to blend in the cold, because once you do start blending in the cold, it could throw off the flow for the water heater and you could get cold spots. Nobody likes that. So again, just set that where you find it the most comfortable with it on by itself and go from there. Power button to turn it off, Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. And other than that, it is pretty much your standard bathroom. Nice big shower. Last but not least, we are taking a step on into the bedroom. Light switches on your left. Take a note of this travel strap. If you undo it, the door is able to slide around freely, so that's great while you're at your campsite. But if you are traveling with it like this, it might rip itself off the hinges or cause damage to something else. So always double check that you do have that latched so that it can't go anywhere during travel. Fire exit for this side. This one kind of works the same way, but not. Pull on that red tab, the screen's going to pop right out of place. At that point, you can take this handle, push it out, hop on out of the unit. Other than that, pretty standard bedroom. We got some storage underneath the bed here for any extra blankets or anything. You do get plugins and low reading lights on both sides of the bed, as well as storage. Another vent lid here, but no fan installed. So again, you could get another cover for it, or you could get another fan installed. Again, just by contact your parts department, they'd be more than happy to help you out. Now this wall here, if you were to want to mount a TV, is going to be the best wall to do so, because it has the TV backer, so it's a little bit more reinforced. Support the weight of the TV, and then you got your plugins right here, as well as that cable satellite button. This little button here turns on the antenna on the roof. Now that's also going to improve radio frequency and cell phone frequency, so we do recommend leaving it on during camping, but whenever you're not using the unit, try and remember to turn it off, as it does draw battery power. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.